Well,
Halloween Kills. Or not how. Fuck, I'm stupid. Halloween Ends. Every
I was gonna say
time I
you
fuck
better
up.
about a year late on that
I,
one.
I wish it was Halloween Kills, man. Fuck.
I got an interesting take on Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, but we'll get there. Let's begin to it now.
Well, I guess we could start with that because that's going to be our biggest topic of the show, probably the longest topic of the show because um as everybody watching this podcast knows, Halloween Ends officially came out last week, I believe it was. Or it might have been 2 weeks. It was either last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. And
Yeah.
the film came out. The conclusion of the Blumhouse trilogy is out. It's all wrapped up, at least for right now. And so this has been a extremely divisive film since it came out, and the three of us are going to share our different opinions and thoughts on the film. Um, I will say that me and Tony watched it on Peacock, and Austin had the theater experience. So, uh, I guess, where do you guys want to start?
Um.
Do we want to like kind of go over the film, or do we want to say like our opinion, like do we want to go around in a circle and say who liked it and who didn't like it, or?
Um, I guess we could like briefly go over the film first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so pretty much it this movie takes place I believe 4 years after Kills, and the movie is, well, I was gonna say about, but it's it's very divisive what it's actually about. Um, so it's kind of about how Laurie and Allison are trying to move on, but then they also introduce this brand new character named Corey in the beginning, and he fucking, well, I was gonna say he killed the kid, but he didn't actually kill him. But the kid dies in a fucking brutal way by fucking splatting like a fucking. If you slam like a watermelon on the ground, that's what his death looked like.
Yeah.
I was very
Um,
surprised.
yeah, same here. Motherfucker said, motherfucker said, "Let me out of here!" He fucking kicked the door open, and fucking the kid went flying over that fucking. Like he got fucking eliminated from the Rumble. But it was also funny how like right as soon as he hit the ground, like almost like right when he splat, like the parents walked in. I was like, that was perfect timing.
Right.
But so that kid dies, and then basically Corey gets arrested for it, but then he ends up getting out of it for some reason. I don't remember what the reasoning was, but that pretty much like ruins his life because after that, like everybody in the town calls him a child killer, and fucking some people were calling him a pedophile and all kinds of shit like that. And basically, the movie was about. It wasn't really about Michael Myers that much. It was more so about the message of like paranoia and like what Michael did to the town, has done to the town, and how like the town is starting to turn on each other and like turn other people into monsters. And Michael just kind of takes like a backseat to the film. Um, he is in it, but not. I guess not as
Very little.
prominently as everybody thought he was going to be. What'd you say?
I said very little.
Oh yeah. Um, so basically, like the town, like has completely turned on Corey, and everybody treats him like shit. So most of the film is like him having more and more of like a mental breakdown until he runs into Michael in a very weird scene in the sewer. For some reason, Michael drags him into the sewer and then like grabs him and like looks into his eyes, and then I guess he like transfers his evil to Corey or some shit. Because after that, Corey starts killing people, and then like on Lori and Allison's side of things, they're trying to get past everything, but they get treated like shit too because which I don't see how that makes sense because they're survivors, but everybody in the town's like, oh, the whole Michael Myers thing is because of you, and like everybody blames Lori and everything.
Right.
But Allison ends up falling in love with Corey, which creates this whole dynamic of like she wants to be with Corey and she's blinded by love, and Lori is like Lori's pretty much like, well, he's got that look in his eyes, the same one that Michael has, and I know it. And Allison's just like, oh, you're crazy, stop hanging on to the past. And it's like this whole thing is she wants to be with Corey, but she's too blind to see what's really going on with him. But Lori sees what's really going on with him, but she's made out to be crazy. And then Corey's just like, especially later in the film, he gets really like cocky with it because he knows like Allison's like gonna believe him over Lori and shit. But as far as Michael goes, like I say, he just kind of takes a back seat in the whole movie. Like he'll be there for like a couple seconds, and then it just goes right back to the main plot. But once Michael actually does get in it, it's like this weird shit that they do, which I guess that's kind of what my main issue was with the movie. I don't, and maybe you guys have different opinions on this than I do, but when I watched it, like, I was asking myself, like, first I saw when he looked into Corey's eyes and that whole shit happened. I was kind of like, okay, I've never seen Michael do anything like that before. And then when Michael, like, stabbed someone and, like, was acting like he was getting his energy back or whatever, I was like, okay. And then like the one scene where like Michael and Corey were like getting in this fucking wrestling match in the sewer, I was just like what was their plan here with Michael? Like, what? I was so confused.
So, like, I just want to like quickly say, like, uh, so I thought the direction they were going with the movie was that I thought they were gonna have Corey somewhat accidentally feeding Michael and making him stronger.
Yeah.
Like I thought when the sheriff was chasing him and Michael stabbed him, like so he starts shaking or whatever like that, and he's like, I'm like, okay, is he getting powerful? And I thought that was gonna be like the entire movie. Like I thought he was gonna keep on like bringing people who's wronged him to the sewer, and I thought I was gonna like keep going with Michael, like killing stronger and stronger and stronger until he's back to full health. And it didn't go to that. They didn't go that direction at all. But it seemed like that's where they were going, and I think like in the beginning, I thought that was kind of interesting. There's even a part where this is where it kind of like goes off the rails. But when Corey went to the doctor's house, and you think it's Michael at first, and the lady, his patient that I guess having sex with the nurse, whatever. And you find out it's Corey who's like stabbing the doctor and like choking him with a plastic bag, and you're like, oh, okay, it's just him. But then she turns the corner and Michael's right there. I was like, oh, like that shocked me. I didn't think Michael was gonna be there, and I thought it was for a second, I kind of liked the little like apprentice, master type of thing. Yeah, I just thought the scene was kind of cool. It didn't, you can keep going. It didn't go where I thought it was gonna go, but yeah.
Yeah, like I just felt like what they did, like I felt like the story of the film was good. like I like what they were trying to tell was good and it made sense, but I think what they did with Michael was the part that had everybody confused, and I think that's the main reason why a lot of people hate this movie the way they do is because they I think the main story is good, but then you see all the scenes with Michael and it just kind of leaves you like what the fuck? like like what what the fuck is going on here? And then they'll have scenes like that where it's like the you know like leader and apprentice thing and it's like, oh, that's a cool idea, but they don't really go anywhere with it. And or like you said, how it looked like he was feeding Michael, and it's just where they ended up going with it is just kind of disappointing, at least to me. Um, I don't know, the whole film. It seemed like I've seen a few people saying this, but to me, it felt like they really, really wanted to tell this Corey Cunningham story that they came up with. It seemed like they came up with this character, and we're like, yes, this is what we want to. This is the character we want to introduce. We want to give all this backstory to this character. We want to build this character up, and we want the movie to center around this character. And then it just kind of felt like, okay, well, how do we make Halloween fit around this? And it kind of felt like they're like, okay, we kind of know how to fit Laurie and Allison in this as like a love storyline, kind of like a drama type thing, and with like Corey slowly going out of his mind. And then when it felt like when they came to where they're like, okay, how are we gonna make Michael fit into this? It was just kind of like it felt like they were just kind of like, we'll just do whatever and see if it works. And I don't know, it's just like I don't hate this movie. It's, but I at the same time like I don't love it. The movie left me very confused and somewhat disappointed. I mean, it's nowhere near the worst movie in this franchise. I can tell you that, at least in my opinion. But it's it's a very strange film, and there were some things they did in this movie and some directions they took in this movie that just left me kind of like thinking to myself like, what were they thinking here? Like, I don't understand what their plan was, or like why would they go this direction, or why would they like make this a thing all of a sudden where Michael can transfer his evil to people when he's never done that before or anything like that. I don't know, it just felt weird to me. Um were you gonna say something?
Yeah, like just to piggyback, is like definitely like the scene where Michael chokes him and he's looking into his eyes. It was like, okay, did he transfer some evil into him, or was it the fact that like he's looking in Corey's eyes and he can see the same thing in his own self because Corey accidentally killed a kid, and like is he seeing like can like it wasn't clear of like why did he let him go and like why did he like never kill him until he actually did end up killing him. But what did he like? They didn't make that the whole him choking him and him looking to his eyes. They didn't make that clear. Um,
Mm-hmm.
one of the couple things I didn't like about the movie was I would have had Corey's transition or his evilness a little bit more nuanced. There was too many
Mm-hmm.
moments in the movie where I felt like he was just a bit too creepy, where he just was like just hunched down, eyes
Yeah.
squinting, just this weasel, just like he's looking to disturb. Like yeah, I get it
Yeah.
in a way. You maybe you would feel super disturbed if you killed a kid. Like I can understand that point. Maybe you would be like that way if you were responsible for a child's death and the whole town was constantly bringing it up. But I don't know. Maybe I just want a little bit of nuance of him being somewhat of a good guy, and maybe have some a funny personality or a fun personality sometimes. And there's other times where he's still freaking out because maybe he's still like that's still gonna be in his head. But still, let him be human and have it be kind of ambiguous of like, is he good? Is he bad? Um, Maybe have him feel like like I said, the whole where I thought they were gonna have each person he was killing, he like the sheriff was gonna kill him anyway. Same thing with those kids they end up killing, those bullies. I thought he was gonna do the same thing, like lure him to Michael, and if Michael would have killed him, it's like, well, I mean, he's not. He's a bad for, I guess, in a way for doing that, but at the same time, those kids tried killing him first. They threw him off a bridge. You could have died him there.
Yeah.
So I wish they would have had more of like back and forth of like, is he good? Is he bad? But they didn't,
Like with the whole scene where like Michael looked into his eyes and shit. I kind of like the first time I seen it, I was confused, and then I watched like a clip of it back, and it kind of made me laugh because like it kind of looks like Michael like looks into his eyes to see what happened, and like as soon as the kid hits the ground and splats, it's like Michael lets him go. It's like, oh my god, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck did you do? It looks like he sees the kid splat and is like, oh my god, dude, what the fuck? Like,
It's even messed up for me.
but I don't know. This probably like I mean we've had a lot of weird things happen in this franchise. A lot of very strange directions it's went in. Especially when it got to like the whole cult shit in one of the movies. But like
Let's not forget Resurrection.
that too.
Bust.
He said, "Looking crispy there, Mikey."
Dude, that was like
Looking
one of my
fucking
worst
chicken
decisions.
fried.
That was like one of my worst decisions for us to do Resurrection and then both Rob Zombies in the same night.
I say, you get in the back.
We did those on the same night, and that was the worst decision I've ever made.
Yeah. But even with all the strange things this franchise has done, like I feel like this is the strangest, at least when it comes to what they've done with Michael. Because at least with those movies, like okay, I admit Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 was strange with the whole white horse vision shit. But like all the other stuff, I always felt like it was weird stuff going on like around Michael, like the cult shit was going on like around him, and like the Busta Rhymes shit was going on like around him. But it was always like Michael was still Michael. But this one was like it was like he's Michael, but he can like possess people now, or like some people were saying like they're like Michael can regenerate now. And I was just like I don't. It was very strange. Like I almost don't know how to explain it. I've never seen like anything done like this with Michael before. I think that's most of the reason why after the movie ended, I was just kind of like, huh, like the fuck did I just watch? Like, and it wasn't like a mad thing. It was, and it wasn't. It was more just like a confused thing. But oh, go ahead.
Well, I don't. I mean, maybe that's their plan. I don't feel like he was possessed. Like maybe there was some influence, but I don't see. That is confusing. They didn't make it clear if he was like if Michael like possessed him or not. But it seemed like he would have went down this road anyway.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tried to make sense out of it a little bit because they said in the movie like there was parts where they were talking about like how how evil can be like an infection or something like that. It was some line like that one of the characters said, and I was like, so are they trying to say like Michael like infected him with his evil or something, or are they just trying to say in like a general sense of like if something really fucked up happens, like it can cause like other people to get fucked up, kind of like a infection spreading type thing. I don't know. I was trying to make sense of it, but I'm still a little confused on it.
Which, I mean, if that's the case, Michael would cause his own infection because he's the one that killed his sister in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a very strange movie, and I think another reason I and a lot of other people were confused was because they were really hyping this up to be like look guys, this is it. This is the end of our trilogy. This is the conclusion. Like in the trailers they're like this is the end for Michael and Laurie. It all comes to a head here. And I think everybody was just kind of like expecting more Michael and Laurie in the film for the conclusion than we got. Or I felt like people were wanting something more for it being a conclusion. I don't. To me, I was just like, okay, this is supposed to be the conclusion, but they did have it finalized with how it ended, with Michael being put in the compactor and everything. But I don't know. It just felt like for a conclusion, it wasn't as epic as it seemed like it was going to be. I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Um, Definitely. So, uh, I was. I think they mixed up the plot of Kills and backwards.
Mm-hmm.
At least I view it that way. I think the plot of Ends should have been the second movie, and then the plot of Kills should have been this movie. Um, of course, there's some things in Kills like with the mob and people being
So
dumb.
evil
I would
dies
have,
tonight.
yeah, some stuff with that I would have changed, of course. But I would have had, because it's like, okay, so Michael was hurt. Michael was hurt in Ends, which makes it weird because I was
Mhm.
just like, why is he hurt 4 years later? All they did was stab and shoot him a little bit. Which, okay, yeah, sure. If it was 1 year later, maybe 5 months to a year later, okay, that made sense. In real life, people who were shot and stabbed 4 years later are walking around fine. So I was just like, why
Mhm.
would he still be hurt? Now, it would make sense if in Kills, or I'm sorry, if yeah, in Kills, if it would have been he did get burnt up. He comes out the house. He is hurt being burnt up, but he does kill the firefighter peoples. Cut to 4 years later, he's still hurt, or how many years you want to say he's still hurt from that. And then the stuff with Corey in the second movie, in the whole plot of Corey is a second movie, and then maybe
Mhm.
like whatever happens in the ending, because this wouldn't be the. I don't know. Maybe he just kills Corey. Maybe Michael and Laurie have a fight, but they both go walk away hurt, but don't kill each other. And then you go and
Mhm.
kills where the mob is like, all right, now we've had enough mob stuff, whatever.
Yeah.
But they didn't make it clear. Of like I was still confused of like why is he hurt? Like
Yeah. My, a thing I have on that is like it's very weird going into this movie seeing him like that when at the end of Kills like they showed him like massacring like the entire mob, and then he kills Karen on top of that, and then there while that's going on there's like the whole speech from Laurie where she's talking about how every time he kills his evil transcends or whatever, and how like no one can stop him, and how like he gets stronger every time he kills and shit, whatever that speech was. And then in this movie, like the first time you see him, he's just like, oh my hip, my back,
Right.
like like and, like especially like the scene where like Corey like takes the mask from him, like Michael's all like hobbling in the corner, and just like pushes him down. He's like, man, give me this.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just like,
real.
it's like, I'm like, I'm just like, it's sad, man.
Yeah,
Like,
that's for sure when this whole movie was just like, okay, I don't know where they're going with this now. Like, I thought maybe Michael was going to be on his side the entire time. Now he just walked into his he whooped, made Michael look like a bitch, took his mask, and walked out. All right, I don't know where this movie's going now.
yeah, and like even when Michael was killing, like when he like fucking stabbed that doctor up against the wall and was like, doing the head tilt and stuff. Like, he was kind of like moving kind of gingerly a bit, and it was kind of like he was like, all right, Corey, we kind of need to take like a 5-minute breather real quick before we head back. That was something, I don't know.
Like,
it's just
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I think in my opinion, I do like where Tony was going with switching kills and ends. But I think
Mm-hmm.
if they really did, if Jason Blum and fucking Jamie Lee Curtis wanted to actually like extend this story, they could have done something where they had 2018 and Kills in the same movie and made it even more of a carnage than it was, and
Mm-hmm.
then had Ends be the second movie. What happened in Ends be the second movie besides the ending, of course, and then build it on maybe a Jamie Lee Curtis versus Michael Myers in the last movie is what I think they should have done. If they really wanted to build on this story, they had to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of a thing I saw people saying about ends, and like they were saying they weren't satisfied with the conclusion because they're like, well, we got Michael versus Laurie one more time, and Laurie finally won. But some people were just saying like they're like it was hard for me to care about like seeing them fight again because we already seen them fight in 2018, and so some people were kind of saying like they were tired of seeing them fight. Um, but I don't know. It felt like with 2018, it felt like they had this great like starting point for this trilogy, and then Kills came out, and I mean it definitely delivered on the carnage part that they were hyping up, but they just added in some weird stuff. It's like most of the mob stuff was kind of weird. Like I didn't have a problem with Michael at all in Kills. I thought Michael was handled fine in that
Right.
movie, but everything outside of him was kind of weird. Like it was kind of frustrating a little bit because they brought back Tommy Doyle, they brought back Sheriff Brackett, they brought back Lindsay, all these characters, and like they just I watched like a couple videos of people talking about this, like they were just kind of like just there, like they hadn't just been gone for 4 years. It was just like oh, what's up, Tommy? Like it wasn't no like reintroducing of the characters or anything like that, or there wasn't like any like even any like moments between the characters. Like we didn't really get a moment between like Tommy and Laurie. They didn't get a moment between like Tommy and Lindsay or anything like that. Like or even like they didn't really do anything with Sheriff Brackett. Like they brought back Charles Cyphers as old as he is now, and he was just kind of in the background, and like I don't know. I just felt like they could have done more with the characters that they brought back, and they just really didn't. That was one of my frustrations with Kills, because I was like, okay, it's cool. We have the characters from the original movie back, but it was just kind of like they also kind of took a backseat to the whole like mob mentality thing. And even in this movie, like I wouldn't blame you if you missed it, but Lindsay is in this movie. I know some people might not realize that because she's like barely in this movie, but Lindsay is still alive in this movie. But they really do nothing with her except like a scene where she's talking about tarot cards or some shit.
Yeah, she was talking to Lori, right? I mean,
And
yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
she's in the movie for
yeah,
a
and I
solid
was
like,
like,
I'm pretty sure like 50 seconds, for being completely
yeah,
honest.
yeah. I felt like it felt like for kills, right? It started off with the flashback, fucking awesome shit. That flashback was awesome, and then like they started getting into kills and having Michael kill more people, and it was like, okay, this is good. And then we started seeing the characters come back. It was like, all right, here we go. We got the characters coming back. Michael's going on a rampage, and then it just kind of felt like it started losing steam, especially when it got to the scene where the whole like the whole mob like in the hospital like going after the wrong person that some I don't know how, but somehow they mistake that guy for being Michael Myers. And it kind of felt like to me like they paused the movie to focus on that, and then it felt like once that part was over, they're like, okay, now we can go back to the movie that everyone cares about. But then it felt like everything after that was kind of just like jumbled together. Um, and then they had like the cliffhanger ending where it was like, did Karen die or did she survive? And then of course you find out in this movie that she died. But I don't know. It felt like to me, kills started off good and then started just getting weird and strange, and felt like it was kind of losing steam. And then this movie kind of felt like to me like they were like, okay, we've done two Halloween movies, and it kind of felt like they didn't want to make another Halloween movie. It kind of felt to me like they wanted to tell this new story with this Corey character. It felt like that's what they were passionate about, and it kind of felt like they're like, we want to tell this story, but we got to put Michael in it somehow. And it kind of just felt like that's how the movie felt to me. It was like fuck. I mean, we just did two Halloween films. Like we kind of want to tell some new. We got to put Michael in this. We got to do it somehow.
So, but yeah, like I felt like the story with Corey and Michael were like integral to the plot. So I definitely feel like it was supposed to have Michael in it. Um, I just don't think this should have been the last movie. Like I definitely, that's why I said like they should have had it where like in the beginning of this movie, have kills and ends kind of like be reversed. Have him come out and show him that in the beginning that he's hurt. Why is Michael hurt? Well, he was in the fire
Mm-hmm.
when Lori and Allison set the house on fire. That hurt him. Have him still massacre the firefighter people. Have it cut to a year later or whatever like that. Now, when Corey's in the sewer and he finds Michael, and when you see he's hurt, it's not like what's he hurt for. It was shown earlier at the beginning of the movie or whatever. Oh, okay, it's from a year ago when he was burnt up in the house.
Mm-hmm.
But I do feel like him being like Corey, him kind of turning evil and how people were treating him, it was integral to what Michael was doing. I mean, what he was doing to the town. So the whole town is on edge what Michael was doing, and then they see this
Mm-hmm.
dude, and it's just like y'all, like I can understand that point. Um, they just didn't execute it weird. Like where the movie kind of fell apart for me in a weird way was like we talked about it when Corey goes into the sewer and he starts, pretty much beating up Michael and takes his mask. and then he starts to go on a rampage by himself. That's where I
Hmm.
was just kind of like, okay, like, okay, huh, okay. This isn't where I thought it was going at all. And I thought some of the kills were cool, but then it was
Yeah.
just like, huh. I didn't think it was
Yeah,
going this way at all.
yeah. Like my whole thoughts on that part is like when they had Corey beat up Michael and take the mask. I in my head I was thinking, are they gonna have it be a thing of like he's stronger than Michael now? He's taking Michael's strength, or he's like becoming stronger than Michael is, or that's what I thought at first, and then with him like putting on the Michael mask and like going on his own killing spree, like I did really enjoy that part. I did. I thought it was good, but I guess the thing that was holding me back from like being like this part's fucking awesome was like every time he killed somebody, like I wanted to be like, yeah, that was fucking sick. And then in the back of my head, I was like, that's not Michael doing it though.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what was holding me back from like really liking it. And also with Corey, like me personally, I feel like because a lot of people like hate the character right now. There's people that like it, but I see a lot of hate for the Corey character. And I think maybe what they should have done with Corey is maybe like introduced him earlier on instead of waiting until the last movie to introduce him.
Right.
And maybe it would have like eased him in more than just being like, "Oh, here's this new character just out of the blue." And like maybe it could have had a thing of like, and maybe they introduce him in 2018. He's like someone that like Allison goes to school with or whatever, and then that would explain why. And ends like maybe she falls for him so easily because maybe she liked him back then in school or something. You know what I mean? Like I felt like maybe they should have done something like that to kind of like if this is the direction that they had planned on going in since then, like maybe they should have introduced him a little earlier on so people already knew of the character, and then when it came to this movie, maybe instead of like maybe instead of the first part being like a flashback of something that happened in his past, maybe like we see Corey in 2018 for a bit, and then he's just kind of a like a for Allison or whatever, and then maybe in Kills like he's maybe like in the background as like part of the mob or something, or I don't know. I have him in there somehow, and then maybe instead of having it as a flashback and ends, maybe have it as a thing that like just happened, and maybe it would have made people have more sympathy for the character as well. I would
Yeah.
be like, oh, that's like, oh, that sucks that happened to Corey. He was in like earlier in this movie, and he seemed like he was such a nice guy, and now this like horrible thing just happened to him. Rather than it just being like, oh, this horrible thing happened to this like random guy that we don't know anything about, and then and then that's just like a flashback. Well, not really a flashback. I guess it's like a I don't really know what you call it, but then like after that like we go back to present time of like how it's affected him. I don't know. I just feel like they could have executed the character better had they introduced him earlier on and maybe eased into it, and maybe the Corey character wouldn't have been so jarring to some people, and it maybe wouldn't have caught people off guard how it did. Because people, but especially the way the trailers looked, like everybody was going in this movie like expecting to see just more of like what we seen in 2018 in Kills with like Michael massacring people, and then everybody was probably thinking it was going to be, well, they're going to fight in the end, and Michael's probably going to finally die. I I don't believe that anybody was expecting the Corey character. Um, I don't know. That's just my opinion. How I feel that maybe the Corey character wouldn't be uh would be a more alike character had they introduced him earlier on.
For sure, like it was introduced on like in the first one, like maybe in a small, maybe a small mention of what's in the background of Corey or something like that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I definitely agree. One thing that really kind of bothered me in this movie was Allison.
Oh yeah.
For a couple of reasons. The first reason I was like, does this bitch not have sex in a couple of years? Why is she on him so quickly? Like I said it
And
multiple
yeah,
times. So like when my girl was watching with it, I was just like, she's way too sexual and way too on him to a stranger she's never met before. And like he's not like not that I'm looking like that, but like we all know an attractive dude when we see one. Like if it's Zac Efron, we're like, okay, we get it. He ain't that attractive of a dude for her to be on him like that. So I was just like, did she has a weird kink now that because Michael's been chasing her, now she's just into creepy dudes. Like we've seen that happen in real life, where like maybe a woman goes through life as a child of her dad beating her, and then for some reason all the boyfriends she dates are guys who beat her. So is it like
yeah.
that? Uh, like why is she on him so quickly? And then when her grandma Lori, like we did this in the first one, grandma kept warning her, Mike was coming, Mike was coming, I gotta kill him, and they didn't believe her, and he came, and we seen what happened. Second movie, same thing. She didn't warn her, but Allison seen the rampage of Michael. She understands now. And here we go with the third one. Same thing. Her grandma was warning her, and then Allison has the gall to be like, "It's all in your head," doing the same thing she did in the first movie. And it's just like, so
Mm-hmm.
we're not learning. That's what you're telling me. You're not learning anything that's happening. You just she took and another. Why haven't they moved?
I don't know. Like they're like, oh, we moved into a new house, but it's still in
Oh yeah,
Haddonfield.
right. So you can't
Like,
move towns. Like, sure, let me stay in the same town where my mom is murdered. The whole town's been murdered. And by the way, this guy who's killed my mom and half of the town, yeah, they never caught him either. It's been 4 years and they still never caught this dude either. Yeah, let me stay here. That sounds great. Yeah, sure.
yeah, about that, I found it kind of funny how like there was a line where they were saying that like Michael was like the FBI's most wanted or some shit, and I was like they didn't think to check the sewer like under the local bridge
Yeah,
because they show in the movie like everybody uses that bridge and that there's like homeless people that live under. I'm like the FBI didn't think to just like peek in the sewer, like
Motherfucker turned from Michael Myers to Michelangelo Myers.
even that's funny. Even even the homeless dude, no, he's like, oh yeah, Michael's in there. Like I've known. I'm
like
paraphrasing, but he's like, yeah, he's in there. Like,
yeah, I'm just like you would think if he's the FBI's most wanted, you would think they would look everywhere. Like they wouldn't leave no place unturned trying to find him.
like real
But
life. If this situation happened in real life, this would be the most talked about. Especially if the guy, like, they never caught the guy. Like this,
yeah,
like this is some think about a dude kills not half of the town, but he killed at least 20 people in the town. I guess 30 in total if you count kills and the first movie. And yeah, this hasn't been caught. This guy would be talked about and on the news worldwide.
yeah.
But this like, nah, it's still not a big deal. People just walking around regularly, haven't caught the dude. Yeah, let's just stay here. Like no, other armies or nothing like that. Like this town should be surveillanced by the like at least some army base would be by. Like they put there's I saw a picture not long ago because there was like this riot at a campus that they had like an army
Mm.
tank, not an army tank, but one of those army like big trucky things on campus. Oh, but this town, no, no. killers, Wolverine killing people. Eh, we'll find them.
FBI
Yeah.
said, "Fuck Haddonfield."
Right.
Like,
So I thought that's kind of, but whatever. Movie's got a movie. At least in some of the Friday 13th, at least Michael Jason, at least he goes to different states.
Yeah. Like, I, I kind of I agree about like the Allison thing. Like, I thought like from when they introduced her in 2018 to like what they were kind of making her like more, because in 2018 she was just kind of like the scared girl, and then she like helped her mom or grandma fight Michael, and then like I always felt like her holding the knife at the end of the film was supposed to be like a symbol of some sort,
Right.
and then like in Kills they start having her be more independent, where she like goes out to try to find Michael to kill him. And then so I thought that they were gonna try to make it a thing of like they were trying to build up Allison to have her like do something like big in the finale, but like the only thing she did really was just get horny, I guess. Like she just, I don't know. It felt like they were building her up for something big, and it was just kind of like, eh. Like I don't know. It's just really weird.
this movie is just fucking weird in general. It's the one reason where it's ranked so low in my ranking of the franchise. Honestly, like
So I wonder how you guys feel about this. I've seen someone say that when you watch the movie and when you finally, like after everything that happens in the movie, when you finally get the Michael and Laurie fight at the end, like they said that they felt that it felt like this was like too little, too late. Like, did you guys get that feeling by the time we got to the final fight?
I definitely did. I feel like it just like there was no like I had like no willpower at that point. It's like they had fucked the movie over for like most of the movie and made like put in some weird shit, which some of it was fine, but like some of it was not, and I felt like it was way too late, and I just couldn't care about the ending or the fight in general.
Yeah.
And oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah. Like just more definitely. Like it's going back to the whole thing with Allison. Like you had mentioned the whole thing with them. Her holding the knife. And them showing like that was definitely like they wanted you to pay attention to that. Of
Hmm.
maybe I definitely think in the writers' room it might have been a discussion like, okay, are we gonna go the route of uh like in Halloween 4 where I forget the little girl's name.
Jamie.
Jamie, yeah.
Jamie, like if they were gonna go the route of like if we're gonna make Allison another Jamie, or maybe she would turn evil, whatever like that. I definitely feel like that might have been something they were thinking about because, like I said, they definitely lingered on her holding the knife. Um, like you said, maybe that being a plot point in the next movie, but they never really came back around to that. Um, I had forgot about that until you brought it up.
Yeah, like I don't know. It to me it just felt like they're like, okay, we're building Allison up to be this really strong character, because they do that, and then they have uh in 2018 they have her dad get killed by Michael, and then in Kills they have her mom get killed by Michael, and then like she's been through all this for two movies, and then in the third one, like she just like she, I don't know, it felt like they were building her up to something that was going to happen in the conclusion, and then it just felt like she was just kind of like not an afterthought, because she was one of the main characters in the movie, but I felt like the whole Corey thing kind of skewed the whatever direction they were trying to take with Alice's character. Um, I don't know. And another interesting thing, I wonder had well, obviously had COVID not happened and everything, but had they gone with their original idea, like I wonder how different this would have been because their original thing was that they were gonna have 2018 kills and ends all take place on the same night. It was just gonna be like one long night. That was their original plan before they changed it. So I wonder if they would have did that, like how different it would have been. But then again, I don't know. And like some stuff I understood in this movie because it was like, okay, well, it has been 4 years, and so you got to have a time jump, and some things are going to be different. And I guess by this point, like it would make sense that Lori and Allison would be trying to move on. Um, but I don't know. I just, I guess the biggest thing I felt about the movie was just disappointed because I thought it was going to be like they were making it out to be like this big epic conclusion, and it just was kind of mid, if I'm being honest. Like I don't know, it was like 2018. They were getting you all excited, like oh Michael's back and shit, and then kills. They're like Michael's fucking killing everyone, and like fucking nobody's safe in Haddonfield, and he's gonna fucking take out the whole fucking town if he really wants to. And then ends was just kind of like Michael's still here, but let's push him to the side so we can tell this new story. And then by the end of the film, they're like, oh yeah, by the way, Michael's still here, so let's have them have a final fight. And then also, to do all this with the Corey characters throughout the movie, only to have Michael kill him, I was kind of confused at. Because I was like, you spent this whole movie building up this new character and this whole story about him, and then Michael just snaps his neck. And I'm like, okay.
Well, to be fair, I knew that was coming. Like, as soon as he took his mask off, I was like, alright, like, this is really weird, and this is really, like, out of character for them to do it like this. But I was like, for sure Michael's gonna get his comeback. For sure he's gonna kill him.
Yeah, I don't know.
It
I
surprised
didn't
me
think,
because he killed himself at first, and I was like, oh, I guess not. And then, we know what happens after that, but
yeah. I don't know. I guess I just kind of felt like they spent the whole movie building him up and wanted everybody to care about this character, and then they just kill him off, and I was just kind of like confused why they would do that to then go back to Michael. Because then I was like, I mean, if your plan was to go back to Michael this whole time, why didn't you just make the movie about Michael in the first place? I don't know. It's just weird. That's what I keep coming back to is the word weird. Like that's all I can think about when I think of this movie. It's just the word weird.
maybe in a way they felt like because when Corey has his mask on,
Mm-hmm.
in a way you're like, what's not Michael Myers? But then you're watching him do this stuff, and it's just like, well, he is wearing a Michael Myers outfit. So, but like you said, like deep down, like it wasn't Michael. But then he's still killing like Michael. So it's like maybe they were trying to make this super deep meaning of like anybody can be Michael, anybody can turn into Michael Myers. Like
Mm-hmm.
like Michael Myers, the name isn't necessarily the person, this evil person who can go around the town killing people. It's not just contained to just one person. Anybody pushed hard enough can become this person, thus showing us Corey like taking the mask and the outfit and then doing Michael Myers stuff. it's just weird because you know it's not him, but then it's like, well, like he's doing cool stuff like Michael would do, but you like it's a double weird feeling. I'm like, you know, it's not him, but it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it wasn't done well, but I could see the meat and potatoes of what maybe they were trying to say or do.
Mhm.
There's definitely a story that they were trying to tell. I don't think it turned out great, especially for the last movie. I don't know why. Like I said, I felt like they should have made this the second movie. I definitely don't think for the last movie they should have did this experimental thing. Um,
Yeah.
but in this movie, I can see what they were trying to do, and I can see a really good movie if they just would have just changed some stuff around and made some stuff better here and there. But
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't know, the first two felt like it felt like okay, these are like slasher films. It feels like I'm watching a horror movie. And then this movie to me felt like until like the third act of the film, it felt like I was kind of watching like a drama, if that makes sense. And then like at the end, it like if that like when Corey started going on that rampage, it felt like the movie kind of finally kicked into gear and it's like, all right, shit's about to go down. And then I don't know, I don't know. Maybe if I watch the movie again, maybe I'll understand it a bit more. But I don't know. And another thing is like they really have advertising. Oh, this is gonna be it. This is gonna be the end, and their saga ends, and all this. And then like fucking like right after the movie comes out, I start seeing shit how Blumhouse is like, oh well, this might not be the last Halloween movie. I'm like, well, like Michael got put in a compactor, like you can't bring him back now.
nah, it wasn't him. That's
Like
what they're gonna say.
like,
He
well,
changed
did
outfits
they
last
grab
minute.
Corey on? Did they grab Corey on accident
Yeah,
or
that's
something?
what it's gonna be. That's what it's gonna
Like,
be. They're gonna retcon it. They're gonna retcon it and say at some point that Lori and Allison went in the other room. Maybe they went outside to talk to the police, and they're gonna be like Michael got up real quick. He put the mask on Corey, and then he walked out the house.
dude, that's gonna be as bad as the shit they did in fucking Halloween Resurrection,
Can
where
I?
they sat there and they expect you to believe that Michael sat there and said, "Oh, I'm gonna get up and get butt ass naked and put my costume on a fucking EMT and then walk away." I'm just like,
You know what will make
what?
it worse? They're gonna retcon it even
What?
more because fucking Lori has the mask. Like that. So if
Yeah.
they put the mask on Corey or they put the mask on somebody else to make it think it's Michael, it's not gonna make any sense because Lori has the mask.
Oh yeah, that is right. She did take the mask off him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say I like the ending where like the town comes together to like finally like rid themselves of the evil. I do like that kind of because it's supposed to symbolize like all the shit that Michael put the town through. Like now they're finally putting him out to free themselves. So I like that. I just wish it would have been a better movie because that part of the movie where that happened, like when Laurie finally kills Michael, and then the town carries Michael to the junkyard, and they do all that, putting him in the compactor and everything. It felt like that moment was supposed to be like the swan song for the trilogy, but the rest of the movie before that didn't really feel like a finale. It just felt like this really weird, almost like anthology kind of story that just so happened to have Michael in it. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I definitely do see them. Because it's a franchise that makes money. It's sad that the other franchises like Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th can't make more sequels. Not that they would be good. Who knows? Because I don't know. People gave shit to the Leatherface movie that came out on Netflix about a year ago. Actually, this year. Um, I kind of liked it though for a small movie. Like there, these something like I don't mean to give excuses to these type of movies, but sometimes I don't need some grade A Oscar performance type of movie. Sometimes I
Hmm.
just want to see a killer be a killer and just do something. Like these movies, like even the older ones, like the older Friday 13th and Halloween, they're not great movies. You know what I mean? You
Hmm.
know, by this stage they're kind of goofy in some ways, but
Yeah.
um, I definitely do see them making another one. Um, I'll give it. We'll hear in 10 years. In 5 to 10 years, if we don't hear word about another one, I'll be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, when they made 2018, like at that point, they didn't even have like they. I think at the time they were thinking about making another one, but I think they were just waiting to see how 2018 did, and that thing fucking exploded in the box office. And then they were like, "Well, we're gonna not make just one more. We're gonna announce two more." And then we got what we got with those two movies, and now it just kind of like I guess the best way for me to say this is the movie felt like that's it rather than like it felt like, oh, well, that's it, I guess, rather than wow, it's finally it. That's how it fucking ended. Holy shit. I don't know. Did it feel like that to you guys?
Um, well, definitely. I mean, especially with the fight with Lori and Michael. I mean, um, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't the grand finale that I probably would have hoped. And you know, he's getting when he get crushed. It definitely was just like, all right, I guess it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. It just felt like it was leading. They wanted to lead to something, but it in like some conclusion, but it just felt really like not that it was bad of a conclusion because that if it was in a better movie, it would be a great conclusion. But it felt like a conclusion that shouldn't have been in this movie. I feel like it was used for this movie, but
Yeah.
it was just like put in there, kind of like they edited another movie that they made, and then put the Michael scenes and not the conclusion in, and made it just a half-assed Halloween film, pretty much.
Like it definitely felt like they had a bunch of different ideas, and it maybe felt like different people wanted to tell different stories. Like one person wanted to tell like the whole Corey thing, and then another person wanted to tell like the Laurie and Michael thing, and it definitely felt like they were like, okay, well, how do we put this together? How do we like figure out how to make these two things work together?
Yeah.
And it went together, I guess. Maybe not in the best way though.
No, definitely not in the best way at all. But all in all, but like this is like I still had fun. Like I still kind of enjoyed it. There was things
Hmm.
I like. I gotta watch it again. I feel like um, I don't know, but I wasn't like mad. There were things that I was like questioning. That was just like okay, this is weird. Up until the ending when he died. I was just like, I mean, okay, well these kills are pretty cool. Like I said, the part when Corey was choking out the doctor, and then you turn a corner and Mike was there too. I was like, oh, that's an interesting. Like this dynamic is an interesting take on Michael I've never seen before, and I was kind
Hmm.
of into the whole like he's got a little sidekick. um, that's not only just being his sidekick and just doing it by himself. Mike was there, kind of like teaching him. That's kind of cool, and then it kind of went off the rails. But I was still kind of enjoying it for what it was, and you know, like I thought when fake Michael Corey cut the DJ's tongue out, I was like, that's brutal. Like I was disgusted. I was like, that was a brutal kill.
Yeah,
Um,
when he like had the one guy on the ground and he's like melting his face with the fucking blowtorch
that was pretty
and
brutal.
shit. Like that's what I was talking about. Where I was like, I was watching it. I was like, oh yeah, this is fucking sick. And then in the back of my head, I was like, yeah, but it's not Michael doing it. And I tried to like make myself get past that to kind of kind of help me understand the movie more. To be like, this is someone who is as fucked up as Michael is, maybe, or try to make it make sense in my head, and it's just really hard for me to. Because I liked the whole part where he's like going around massacring everybody. I, like that's where it felt like the movie really got its burst of energy, and then it just after that it was just kind of like, well, Corey's dead now. Michael and Lori, and now Michael's dead, and that's it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I didn't like how they killed him either. I thought that was kind of anticlimactic, but
Yeah, uh, I don't know, because they just like stab him to the table like they were trying to like crucify him or something, and then like they slit his wrists and like slit his throat, and then like from what people are saying, I guess he died on the table before he even got put in the compactor, because they were saying I guess he bled out, and they were saying like when by the time he was getting carried he was already dead because he bled out. But I don't really know. I'd have to watch it again to see if that is the case.
I mean, it's possible. They never really like. Of course, they're not going to confirm it. Um, but definitely that compactor definitely was like, all right, yeah, he's definitely dead now. But I don't know. That was a flaw too, where the whole town got together and it was just like, how did they round up the whole town for this public execution? Um,
Yeah. And I thought they were gonna have it go the direction of like, since they were basically turning Corey into Michael, I thought they were gonna have it be a message of like Michael does die, but they were gonna have like Corey continue on to be like well, Michael died, but now like his evil spread like the infection that they were talking about, and now they got a whole new problem to deal with Corey. And I thought maybe that's how they could go in a direction if they wanted to make another one, but
that would
But no, fucking
they killed
Corey's
him
the death.
off.
Like it's just fucking done.
Yeah,
Honestly, I do think like I've had my ups and downs with Blumhouse in general, but I do think um, when it comes to the Corey character and what they were going with, I do think they should have put that in its own movie because it could have worked a lot better that way. Of course, not the part where he died or whatever, but because they could make sequels to that, but I do think they could have done a really good just Corey movie, and it could have been something watchable instead of here's Corey in the conclusion to the Halloween franchise. Like, I don't know.
or even a nice little Netflix series in a world where we get like a TV series of like everything.
Yeah,
yeah,
A quick little Netflix series on HBO Max or Netflix, whatever, with Corey would have been nice. So okay, we get this character. It don't gotta be a long series. It could be 6 episodes. It don't gotta be that long. And then we get the movie, and but
yeah,
this one definitely felt like like the first movie, I think that's what makes it so sad. The first one has so much promise where it felt like the writers and the cast and everybody has so much life of like, let's bring Halloween back. We're gonna do it right this time. It's gonna be great. And definitely by this last one, it seemed like they had an idea, but it also felt like they were just like, yeah, let's just get this shit over with.
Yeah.
Um,
Especially like it felt like that when it came to Jamie Lee Curtis because it felt like she wanted to be done playing Laurie Strode so bad. Like, and even she said like after this movie, she said that she's like for sure done playing Laurie like for good. Even though I mean, money does talk, but fucking the way she was saying it, she sounded like she was extremely happy that she didn't have to play that character anymore.
I would be happy if she's done.
Yeah, I think I mean when 2018 came out, I was hearing people say they were sick of like Jamie Lee Curtis and they wanted like a different story besides Michael and Laurie again. But I understood why she was in that one because that's what they were going for. And then now, definitely by ends, I'm like, okay, like yeah, if they do ever make more Halloween films, I would definitely like it to be something that doesn't have to do with Laurie. Because I kind of felt like Laurie was what was holding this trilogy back from it being more than it was.
Hmm.
Like, because it felt like in 2018, like they wanted to like have this new like timeline and start everything new and fresh and only have the original film connected to it and um it felt like they had all these fresh ideas and they could go in all these new directions and like even in that movie they were making it clear by having characters say like oh Michael and Laurie are not brother and sister and Michael isn't going after Laurie at all like they made that very clear in that movie and then it just felt like maybe not so much kills because Laurie was in the hospital the whole movie but definitely this movie like they just made it feel like it was about more so Laurie than anyone else at the end of it. I would have been more interested to see what they would have done if it was just like Michael gets out of the sanitarium and then just starts going on this killing spree. Like without Laurie there, I would have been more interesting to me. But I get why they wanted her there because saying that we have Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie that's gonna get more people to go see it. So I understand that.
Well, that's definitely where they messed up in terms of saying that they weren't brother and sister because I feel like that is the thing, that is the number one thing that kind of kept Michael and Laurie thing make sense. And
Hmm.
once they kind of made it be like, well, they're not related, it made it seem like, especially within the first one, Laurie's just obsessed with this killer. Now, it makes sense. Not obsessed with like she likes him, but obsessed with like the fact of I want to kill him. Now, in one way, to kind of make sense, but I think the whole brother and sister thing kind of made it more like, why does Michael keep going after her? Oh, his sister. He either wants to, he just like in the remake, in the first remake, he wasn't trying to kill Laurie at first. He just wanted her. That was his little sister. That's the only his little sister was like the only person he cared about.
Hmm.
So when he came back for her, like he didn't kill her. Wasn't trying to at first. He grabbed her and then he held up a little picture and was just like, "That's us. Like I'm here for you." So it was like, all right. But then with this iteration, they made it clear like no, like they're not connected by blood at all.
Yeah.
So then it became like so like they don't need to be in the same setting at all. Like you said, like she's kind of holding this. She's
Hmm.
holding this whole franchise back. Because Michael could be going after other people, could be doing other things, and they kind of keep
Wow.
making it about Lori, and Lori's like involving herself in this situation when she doesn't have to. She can move. She could very much just move to a different state, and her whole family could have moved to a different state. And she would have never dealt with any of the situation ever again. But
Yeah, and that kind of brings me back to the whole thing about Allison. Was like I thought that they were bringing Lori back for the 2018 one, and then I thought in Kills that they were gonna have Lori die, and then because I thought they were building up Allison for like I thought they were trying to build her up through two movies to where once Lori died that they could shift in like Allison as the new like main character or something. I thought that's what they were doing, but that didn't happen. It was almost like they were kind of like I don't really know what their intention was with it, but it almost felt to me like they didn't have the balls to kill Lori.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
I mean, she's never had a happy ending. Like
Yeah, true.
this is the only iteration where Lori has had a happy ending. And all they were the ones like she thought she won and then she didn't, and then she got killed her own self. So
Yeah, true.
now I would have liked had it been just like Michael wins, like he just walks to like that, like that's the idea of like some evil is gonna win. He just
Hmm.
walks into the sun, not the sunset, but he just he killed them all, and it's his movie, of course, duh. Like he should win, but
Yeah. And like that could have played into the whole aspect that they were like talking about in the original film where like when Michael is like watching Lori in the school, like the teacher was talking about like fate and like how you can't escape your fate and like no matter what you do, like you can't escape fate and whatever else they were saying, and that they could have used that like message as like it's like her fate to like die at the hands of Michael, like no matter how long it takes. Obviously, like fucking 40 years, but I don't know. Like the 2018 felt like they had so much like love and care for the franchise, and I mean, it's even evident by watching it, like how much like they have a reference to almost every single previous movie in the franchise, and then it felt like that movie was kind of like a love letter to the franchise, and then Kills was kind of like, all right, here's our like what we want to start doing as like our new beginning of our trilogy, and then it just got really strange, and then this movie got even stranger. At some points, it was almost like they were like when you watch the movies, it's at some points it's almost like they go one direction and then they kind of like it seems like they either were too afraid to go all the way in that direction or they kind of just got confused and went in another direction.
uh
So I don't know. I'm not saying I hate this movie. I like this trilogy for what it I guess for what it is. Considering films we had earlier in the franchise, I suppose, we could have got a lot worse than what we got. Um, but
Oh my gosh, swear to God.
so I was saying, trilogy, like fondly, do you think, like even us, like do you think we'll look back on it as like a good trilogy, or like what do you guys think about that?
Ah,
um, I don't think so. I think overall, like, I don't think I would watch them back to back. I can watch 2018. I've seen that movie like maybe twice, maybe three times. I still enjoy it. Like maybe I haven't watched it this year, but like maybe next year or a few years from now, whatever, if someone was like, "Hey, you want to watch the movie? I can watch it, no problem."
Mm-hmm.
Kills. I don't know if I'd want to watch Kills again. And then this one, I've only seen it once, so I could definitely see it again if someone hasn't seen it. I think there's some funny parts in it, or I think there's parts that like I don't know, I get some enjoyment out of it because I don't entirely hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as a series as a whole, I don't think it's a great. See, I think they're fine movies by themselves. As a whole, I don't think I'd want to watch them together one by one. Like, I still very much feel like I'd rather watch Halloween 1, Halloween 2, Halloween 4 and 5, in H2O than rather watch these.
Mm-hmm.
I still, and like, I don't think it's just nostalgia. I feel like those movies are just inherently better stories. I see what they were trying to do with these movies. Like I said, there's in the meat and potato, there's something, especially in this one. There is a great movie in Halloween Ends, and even Halloween Kills. There's a great movie in there. They have some good stuff in those movies that could, like, this could have been great. And they just if they just dropped the ball, I think a little bit. Which is sad. You know, I mean, I'm just one guy's opinion. Um, but I think they could have did some definitely some stuff better or differently that would have made this series um, looked at overall a lot better. But they didn't, and it's
Mm-hmm.
sad, and we'll have to deal with that.
Yeah. What about you, Austin?
I mean, in terms of trilogies, I don't think people will look back at the as a trilogy, like as a good trilogy. I don't think it would be regarded as like more as the others, but
Mm-hmm.
I do think in some way this trilogy would be regarded as like I guess a different take on the series maybe. Especially, I mean, I could watch Halloween 2018 pretty well and like enjoy that. And Halloween Kills, and it's like it's whatever. There's some stuff that's not great, but there's also some really great parts about it. Um, Halloween Ends, I don't fucking know because I definitely have a different take on this movie. Besides you guys, I actually genuinely hate this movie. Like I genuinely fucking hate it. Um, but as a trilogy, as a complete trilogy, I don't think it would be regarded as a good trilogy per se, and look back on it as a good trilogy. I would say standalone films, at least the first two, can be regarded as something good.
So now that you said that, I'm curious. Like, what part of the movie was it where you stormed out of the theater?
Okay,
Oh yeah, I'm
it
curious.
wasn't a part of the movie. It was mainly when it was over. So
Mm.
I saw this with my mom and my sister, and I sit there. For one, my mom thought it would be a great idea to go to a 1:15 p.m. showing, and I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. So we go to a showing where it's like bright daylight. There's nobody there. Like there's like other people in the theater with us, and nobody's saying anything. My mom's trying to ask me questions when I'm visibly getting pissed, and it's not a good sight when my sister's going, I've seen that look before, don't talk to him at all. So I didn't talk for about an hour after the movie. But after the movie fucking ended, I looked at there was a post credit scene, and then I fucking went to the car. I was to the car before I was to the car before my family even got out of their seats, from what I know. So I was pissed, very much so. And I did not enjoy. Like this is probably the worst theater experience I've had this year. and I've been to the theater a good bit this year. Cause like with even within like with Kills and 2018, they were both good experience. Even though like Kills, it wasn't like it was a good movie, but it wasn't that it had some bad parts. Like it was still a good experience seeing it in the theater. But this one just pissed me off. So I've obviously had some time to think about it, and even though I don't like it, I am not as pissed as I was because if we would have done the podcast like on the day, I would have been screaming. So I'm fine now, obviously, but I just did not enjoy my experience or my time watching it at that in the theater or anything like that. Pretty much, it just wasn't good to me. Especially with what they were hyping it up as. That's what pissed me off the most. And
Yeah, I even seen some people saying like they were well, so the aftermath of this film is kind of funny because for one, I saw these fucking people started this they were so pissed at the movie that they started a change.org petition for the entire movie to be reshot. Like, think that's gonna fucking do anything?
Yeah,
I was like, why? They're not gonna. You know how much money they spent on this movie? They're not just gonna be like, oh
yeah, no,
well, better listen to those people on Change.org. Let's go spend another like 40 million or whatever it cost them to make it. Like, they're not gonna do that
I will say
just because people didn't like it.
the aftermath was pretty fucking shocking because the first week, I don't know if you saw, but it was number one in the theater, like box office number one. And
Hmm.
then the next week, it got an 81% decline and became number three in theaters. Smile, which has been out for like 4 weeks at that time, beat Halloween Ends the second week that it was out.
I'm gonna assume that that decline was either because uh unless there was other films that beat it, or the people that seen it opening weekend were like telling everybody, "Yeah, this is trash. Don't go see it." Like, I don't
The
know
only other film
how
that
else
came
it would
out
have
that
had a decline
weekend,
like that.
I think the only other two films that beat it was Smile and Black Adam for the second weekend.